In our previous video, we showed you how to quickly set up a VR multiplayer game using Photon Fusion. In this video, you will be getting a deeper understanding of how exactly an online multiplayer game is programmed. Also, feel free to check out our video on multiplayer fundamentals to know about the basic concepts and terminologies of multiplayer networking. Alright, so let's get started. The first script we need is called as the network manager. Now, as the name suggests, the function of this script is to manage everything that happens over the network, like allowing the players to either join or create a session, loading and unloading game scenes, connecting and disconnecting players, and other similar functions. So here we have the script open, and the first thing we want to do is to make this a singleton class by creating an instance using the static keyword. Now, since this is a public variable, it's generally a good idea to protect the instance variable with a property which can only be set privately. Now, to make sure there's only one instance at a given point in time, in the awake method, we check if there's an instance present already. If it is, then we check if it is the current one. If it's not, then we're going to destroy it. Or else we're going to assign the current instance to the variable instance. Also, to ensure that this is not destroyed when the scenes are changed, we need to use the don't destroy on load method. Next, we need a method to create a runner and listen to all of its callbacks. Network runner can be thought of as the core of Photon Fusion. A single runner in your scene will be managing both the simulation and networking. So to reference the runner, we need to declare a variable called runner prefab. Then create a network runner property so that it can be referenced from the other scripts as well. After that, we need to create a function called create runner, which is going to instantiate the runner as a child of this game object, get the network runner component, assign it to the runner variable, and also listen to all of its callback. Now, to make use of the callback functions, we need to implement the network runner callbacks interface. The interface requires a cleanup by deleting the throw non-implementation statements. And for now, we'll just use the two callback functions, on player join and on shutdown. And inside these functions, we'll just write the debug logs and leave it at that. Next, we need to create two functions called create session and join session. Both of them will do the same thing of creating a runner, loading a scene, and connecting a player to that scene. I know we can combine both of these functions into one, but it's easier to understand it this way. We already have a function to create a runner, so let's create two more functions to load and connect a player to the scene. Now, we want these two functions to be async and awaitable because we want to connect only when the scene has been completely loaded, and we want to start the game only when the player has joined. So add the library using system.threading.task at the top, then scroll down and create a public async task called load scene, which will wait till the game scene is done loading. For now, we will assign it as index 1, which will be the second scene in the build settings. Next, create another public async task called connect, but this one takes a string variable as an argument. In this method, we'll first define the start game arguments by creating a new start game args with the game mode set to shared, session name set to the string argument, scene manager initialized with the network scene manager default component, and the scene set to the main game scenes index number. Then we pass these arguments into the start game method of the runner and wait till this task is completed. Finally, we go back to the create session and join session methods and call these functions. So with that, we have the network manager ready. Next, we need a connection manager script. This is a very simple script that will accept a string from the input field, and based on the in-game button press, it will either create a session or join a session by calling the respective methods from the network manager. Then we need a script to spawn a player prefab. This is also a very simple script which implements the iNetwork callback interface. First, we need to reference the player prefab. Here you can see that the prefab is not a game object, but instead a network prefab reference, which means that we need to have the network object component added to this prefab in Unity. Now, when you add the network object component, Photon understands that this prefab is something that's going to be shared across the network. Then in the start method, we need to reference the runner using the network manager instance and listen to all its callbacks. Here we are going to use just the on player callback, which will spawn the player prefab in a random position using the runner's spawn method. It is important to note here that we want to call the spawn method only when the player who has joined is a local player. That is your own player and not someone else. But why? Is because when we call the runner spawn method, it automatically creates a player prefab for all the users who are connected in the sessions. So now if you don't have this condition, then every time a player joins, the runner will call the spawn functions and you'll end up having n number of your own player prefabs. Next, we need a script called hardware rig whose function is to update and store the different transform values of a player, like the position and rotation values of heads, hands, and the whole body. So first we need a variable to reference these transform values, and then we need to create a struct which implements network input interface. Then we can implement the iNetwork runner callbacks and use the onInput callback to reference these transform values. Let's not forget to set these values at the end. Here you need to know that the onInput method is called by the runner at certain fixed updates. Finally, we need a network rig script whose function is to read your controller's input and update the same for the other players to see. So for this, we don't use mono behavior. Instead, we use network behavior. They're just like mono behavior, but it's used to store data that's automatically synchronized across the network. So first, let's declare the 4 network transform variables and then declare a variable to reference the hardware rig. After that, we need to write a function which returns a bool variable depending on whether the rig has state authority or no. Now a rig will have a state authority only when the player is local to you. Other players will not have the authority over your player prefab. So in the spawn method, only if the network rig is local, we access the hardware rig. Next, in the fixed update network, we need to update the network rig as per the input it received from the hardware rig. So this will make sure that everyone sees your movement. Finally, to make sure that you see your player move, in the render method, we update the local player's transforms. Alright, so with that, we have covered all the scripts and now you know how to program for an online multiplayer game using Photon. Here's a small challenge for you. While I was testing this with Chad, even though we had the same room code, we are not able to join the same room. Turns out, Photon detects your region and automatically assigns you a server that is closest to you. So the fix for this was to have a fixed server. Now this is just a single line of code and your task is to find out what that code is. Alright, so now if you found this video to be helpful, I'd highly appreciate it if you can leave a like and subscribe. And as always, I will see you in the next one.